Hello everyone, we're back with a 2006 Suzuki Forenza, and this can apply to other cars. Have you ever been driving down the highway? Imagine that the car's running, and I'm going to keep the noise, I'm not going to crank it up just so you can hear it a little better. You're going down the highway, you turn on to your favorite station, and look what we get. So in desperation, we might do this. Maybe it's a loose connection. Well, nothing there. Then we might start pounding over here on the speakers. I don't hear nothing there. And you could probably do the same with the other speakers, but let's assume we hit and nothing happens. Where do we go from here? Is this a problem with the radio? And then we just want to start ripping the dash out? Or is there a problem in the speakers? Maybe all four of these speakers are shot. How do we know which way to go? Do we want to go into the door panels and ripping them off? Or maybe the speakers are okay and it's up in the dash. Anyway, let's try to do something here where we can figure out which way to go. Do we want to go to the radio? Or do we want to go to the door panels and start ripping them off? So let's see what we can do in figuring this out a little bit. Okay, what we have here is to help us out in troubleshooting this here, whether it's in the radio or is it in the speakers, is I got a function generator here. Now this is a device I built back in 1986. I built it from scratch. It'll put out square waves, 5 volts. That's used for TTL logic. And also it'll put out sine waves, which is what I'm going to do. This here generator can generate a frequency from 10 Hertz all the way up to 50 kilohertz. Now when I built this, I didn't have in mind to actually driving a speakers directly, so it doesn't have a current capability to do that. So I've made a modification, added a little bit of circuitry in here so we can actually drive a speaker. Now, just so you can see the inside in here. Okay. Here's all the electronics in here. This is all original here where I built it back in '86. Now this is what I just added in here. It's just a little perf board. It's an emitter follower, also known as a common collector stage, and I got an audio output transformer, match the impedance up to the speaker, which should be 4 ohms. Got a coupling capacitor, a couple of resistors in here for the voltage divider on the base circuit for the transistor. So it's not that much to it. But let's just to show you what it's going to do here. Hey, let me get it plugged up. Now if you look right down, you can see that it's running at 900 Hertz. Now I've got the amplitude on the sine, I got it turned down. You can hear the speaker over there in the background. So we can turn it up. Okay, I could do a little fine adjustment on it, as far as in getting it zeroed right in on the frequency that I want. And like I said over here, this is the amplitude, so I can turn the sound down. Okay, and I can also turn it up. So this is what we're going to use to see whether the problem is in the radio or is it in the speakers. Okay. Okay, let's look at the wiring diagram for this here car. Now if you look right here, this is a speaker assembly. This is for the the left-hand speaker that's up on the front, right there by the driver's side. Now you can see we have a woofer assembly here. We have a tweeter. Now I'm sure there's a crossover network in there to separate the frequencies out to drive each one of these speakers. Now let's come on down here. You see that we have a connector, C351. This connector would be inside the door panel, okay? Now we're coming on down and we see that we're going to another connector. Now this here pin numbers on this connector is 77 and 68. Now if you slide across to the dashed line, you look over here, we see C202. But now take notice of this right here, 74 and 89 pins. That's also driving this speaker up here for the right hand side that's on the front. So these two speakers are on C202. Now, they continue on, both speakers, and they go to the audio unit, or the radio. Now let's look at the two speakers for the back. Now those two are coming out of the radio. They're coming down. Here's this speaker. This one here is for the right rear. Oh, I'm sorry, the left-hand side on the rear. This speaker right here. Okay, this assembly is coming up, going through this connector, C371, which is inside the door panel. Again, we have two pins, 80 and 83, and we slide across and we look and we see those are in C202. And also, these two pins are in C202. So all four of these speakers are inside connector passing through C202. Now that looks like a great place that we can separate this connector and inject our signals in and see what these speakers will do. All right, here's a diagram of the wiring harness. All right, so we got the wiring harness instrument panel, have the wiring harness for the console. Now, this is not in color, but it's actually, if you look at the manual, it is in color. But what we want to find is just C202. Where is it located? And there it is, right here. So over here on the left-hand side, on the driver's side, down here in the kick panel area. All right. Now, if we go to this here little chart, we see C202. It tells us it's an 89 pin connector, and it's white, and it's also located left driver leg room. Okay, so now we have an idea where to look for this connector at. Now also, we need to know where all these pins are at, located on this connector. Now if we look right here, here is this 89 pin connector, C202. Now I've already highlighted the pin numbers for each one of the speakers. So this is where we're going to be feeding our signal in for each one of the signals. So they're on these pins right here. Now since this 89 pin connector may have, I'm sure, you know, it's got other wires that's passing through, some maybe through the PCM, I don't know. To save time, I'm just going to disconnect the negative side of the battery here before we start separating that connector. And let's just tuck him out of the way. Okay. All right, so now we need to get to that C202 connector. Where is it at? Now, the literature said it was over here by the driver's side, and turns out it's behind this panel right here. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, first thing we need to do, before we can get this panel out, we need to get this here assembly off right over here. Okay. So let's take this off right here. Now out here there's three clips. There's one, and one, and then there's two back up in here. So let's pop the metal loose first. Okay. So that one is out. And then just so you can see what it looks like, there's the three metal clips, and then there's the two other ones right here. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is let's take off this screw right here. Let's screw him out. Okay, and also down here there's a Phillips screw, so let's take him out. Okay, now once you get him out, then this should just come right on out. Okay. Now here's our C202 connector. See, he's white. Yeah, I'd say he's got 89 wires in there. And now we need to separate this. So now we're going to take this bolt out. Alright, now once you get everything, once the bolt just sits there in free wheels, you can just grab the top, grab the bottom, just kind of just move this thing right on out of there. Okay? Okay guys, this is where we're going to be injecting our signals in. This is the very, very top row of pins here. Okay, that's where all the speakers are connected up. Now, I did another little redrawing on here. Okay, so if you look at it, this is all these top pins. All right. Now I'm not going to go through and you know, you can see that what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to go for the left front speaker, which is this one right here. It's on pin 68 and 77. You can see that plus is 68, and you can see that 77 is going to be negative. Okay guys, you can see that I got my test leads hooked up here. I'm going to be driving the left front speaker. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn it on. Now if you notice, listen real carefully. You don't hear anything coming out of this here woofer. But I can hear stuff coming out of the tweeter up here. In fact, if I turn the frequency up, I don't know if you can hear this over here. You can hear the high frequency coming out. So I got one speaker that's shot. Tweeter's okay, woofer's bad. Okay. Alright guys, so I'm on the right front. I got 1,000 hertz going in there now. Looks like we got another bad speaker. What you're hearing there is the tweeter. So I got about, looks like about 4,000 hertz now. Okay, so I got two speakers shot. Okay guys, well on the right rear speaker, I got about 1,200 hertz. As you can listen, there is no sound coming out. Don't have any sound, anything coming out of the tweeter. Right now I've got about 7,000 hertz. So there's nothing coming out of the tweeter also. You don't hear anything, do you?
No.
Okay. So what we have there is a bad woofer and a bad tweeter on that one for the right rear. Now the last one we got to do is the left rear. Okay guys, we're on the left rear. If you notice, you don't hear anything coming out of the woofer. But you can hear something out of the tweeter if you listen. Okay guys, so you see we got 4 bad speakers, woofers that is, and we also have a bad tweeter. And so this just gives you just another way of how to troubleshooting speakers without ripping panels off unnecessarily or going into pulling a radio out and pulling the dash out when you don't need to. So this gives you a way, you know, that you can figure out which one is which. Is it in the radio or is it in the speakers? We're going to get some speakers in here, and maybe we'll get back and we'll have a party in the car while we're going down the highway so we can jive and go into the music. You guys take care and be good.